1. Hello, we are going to look at fractional exponents. If you haven't already, go ahead, grab out your MJs. We are going to add, this is our last and final exponential rule for what we've been learning. So go ahead and put this on your, table of contents, if you will, wherever you have your exponential rules. In terms of fractional exponents, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the actual rule, and then we'll do some examples. With that, the rule here is if you have any number to a 1 over another number, or the same number, a fractional number, that's the same as saying that's the square root of whatever b was of that x number. Whew! Just go ahead and copy this down right now and see what you have, and we're going to go ahead and do some examples. So first off, and if you need to, go ahead, pause the video to catch up at any time. Example number 1 is if I have 4 to the 1/2 power, what that means then is I simply take this root number of this 4 here, that was the base, 4 goes on the inside, and the b in this case was the 2, which goes on the outside. So this is our most common, the square root, which we all know is what times what is 4, that ends up being 2. That was our first example. 4 to the 1/2 is 2. All right. Example number 2. Step it up a little bit now. This time, I'm going to do 8 to the 1/3 power. And that's going to be, take this root of it. The base was 8. 8 goes underneath here. The 3 is in the b spot, which means this is now the cubic root of 8. So I need to think what times what times what is 8, and in this case it is 2. Again, if you remember, the opposite, 2 to the 3rd is 8. Because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, therefore the cubic root of 8 is 2. These are opposite. Let's see, next example, we'll go back to green. All right, number 3. This time, I'm going to do 27 to, let's try that again. 27 to the negative 1/3. We're going to be combining a few of the rules that we've already known, specifically the negative rule. So, if we look right here, let's start with first the negative exponent rules. We know if there's an exponent that's negative, it flips it into a fraction. So I write it first as a fraction. I have 27 to the now positive 1/3. If you forget on how I did this, go ahead, check back in your notes, or if you were absent, you can look in your book for the negative exponent, and this video is also online as well. So now we can go on to what we've just learned in that 1 over. We learned that the exponential rule means that I have a square, sorry, not the square, I just have the root of 27, and depending on whatever number this is, that's the root that I take. In this case, it's the cubic root. And now, of course, we all know that what times what times what is 27, and ends up being 3. Again, kind of a quick review. 3 to the 3rd equals 27, because 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. Okay, so we've looked at 2 kind of basic ones, and then we threw a negative. Let's do one more example in your MJ, and you should have as much info as you need. Number 4. I'm going to do 8 to the 2/3. Now I just want to show this one to you, just so you know that it's out there. We'll be working mainly with the top 3, but understand that this is something we could come upon down the road. So first off, what I want to do is rewrite this, combine one of our earlier rules. I'm going to pull apart that 2/3. I'm going to write this as 8 squared times, goodness, 1/3. Okay, so, sorry, 8 squared to the 1/3 power. What we know from our earlier lessons is that if I were to do an exponent to an exponent, then that means I multiply them together. So I multiply 2 times 1/3, and when you have 2 times 1/3, what do you end up with? 2/3. The other option is to do it this way, where you have break it apart, 8 to the 2/3 is equal to, let's see, I'm going to put 8 to the 1/3 on the inside, which means, what do I have to raise it to? Yep, squared. Both of these then, when multiplied together, end up with 2/3. Let's see if they are equal. We'll try this route first. So first off, I'm going to do 8 squared, which is 64. And then I'm left with 64 to the 1/3. We use our knowledge from today. That's going to equal a root number, 64 on the inside. And the third root of 64, which ends up being 4. Again, it would be 4 to the third. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. So in this one, problem was 4. 8 to the 2/3 is 4. Let's go this route. 8 to the 1/3 is going to be the root of 8, and depending on the fraction, is third root. And then we want to square that. Okay, so on this step, I simplified 8 to the 1/3 as the cubic root of 8. So now we know that the cubic root of 8 is 2 from before, squared. 2 squared then gives me 4. Now if you head to Khan Academy when you get home at night and you want to practice some more of these, he has some great examples. If you search for fractional exponents, that's the way to go. Otherwise, keep these in your notes and refer back to them when you need them.